The second part of this chapter covers the skin glands, then temperature regulation done by the skin, inflammation, and also burns. So here's sebaceous glands. These are attached to hair follicles. Showing here, looks like a bunch of bumps. Sebaceous glands are holocrine glands. And sebaceous glands make an oily substance called sebum. And so here it's a fatty material along with cellular debris. Sebaceous glands become active after puberty. Estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone are actually activating these glands. And so the sebum keeps the hair and the skin soft and waterproof. Excess sebum can lead to clogging of these pores. For our sweat glands, the main type of sweat gland is the eccrine gland. This is the most numerous. This is the one that releases sweat when the body temperature increases. So it responds to elevated body temperature. Eccrine or the merocrine glands. Then the apocrine sweat glands. These are found in the axillary and the groin areas. So axillary meaning the armpit, and the groin area meaning the pubic and the anal regions. These respond to emotions and pain instead. But they also become active after puberty. Ceruminous glands, these make earwax. And the mammary glands produce milk. Skin has many functions. It's important for homeostasis. Function of the skin, it's important for protection, barrier against harmful substances, microorganisms. It prevents water loss. So here the keratin, the protein made by the keratinocytes, keratin acts as a waterproofer, meaning that water cannot enter the skin if that happened, then each time we would take a shower or go swimming, take a bath, then we would be filled with water afterwards. Okay, so we don't want that. So water cannot enter the skin, and water cannot exit the skin freely. I know you're thinking, well, what about sweating? Well, sweat glands are under the control of the nervous system. If the nervous system does not want the body to lose water, then sweat glands are not become active. They don't become active. So water cannot enter or exit the skin freely. Skin also contains sensory receptors. It helps with excretion of waste, helps produce a precursor of vitamin D. This precursor of vitamin D is then converted to its functional form in our kidneys. Skin also is important for body temperature regulation. Our bodies produce heat through cellular metabolism, and that's cellular respiration. Hypothalamus in our brain is important for regulating our body temperature. And so if it gets too high or low, hypothalamus decides what to do. So it's a control center. When the body is too warm, body responds with vasodilation of the dermal blood vessels, but instead vasoconstriction of the deep blood vessels. And the sweat glands are then become active to release sweat. So what does this mean, vasodilation of dermal blood vessels? How does that lead to controlling this body temperature? Pretend that this is the skin, and this is a blood vessel, okay, in our dermis layer. When the body temperature increases, these blood vessels expand, meaning they become wider. This is because in their wall, the smooth muscle relaxes, and this allows the blood vessel to expand, become wider. When it becomes wider, it is now closer to the surface. This allows the heat to escape the blood and therefore leave it through the skin and out of the body. and this leads to the body temperature, hopefully then going back to a stable rate. The deeper blood vessels instead become constricted. You want to constrict those blood vessels in the deeper parts so that you can send the blood to the blood vessels that have expanded or dilated. Alright, so again, dermal blood vessels dilate, but the deeper blood vessels are going to constrict. Hyperthermia means abnormal high body temperature. It can occur on hot, humid days when the temperature is high. Here, the nervous system does not like it when the body temperature changes. The person can get weak, dizzy, nauseous, have a headache. Then a hypothermia means an abnormally low body temperature. Here, shivering is involuntary in order to increase the body temperature, but confusion, lethargy, loss of reflexes, consciousness can occur, and then the organs eventually can shut down. Next, inflammation. It's very important in our body as a response to injury or stress. Inflammation is important for restricting the spread of infection. So here, blood vessels in the affected tissues dilate. Dilate, again, meaning they expand, they become wider, and they also become more permeable. More permeable meaning that little openings appear in the walls of the blood vessels, allowing fluids and the immune cells to leave the blood vessel to then go to the injury site. And here, in the inflamed region, the skin may become reddened, swollen, warm, and painful. Just to explain this a little bit better, let's say that this is the skin, an injury has occurred, and now the cells in this region are releasing chemicals. Here, the mast cells found in the dermal layer of our skin are going to react to this injury. They release histamine. Histamine is then acting on the blood vessels in the dermis. Histamine is going to cause the blood vessel to dilate. So it has become wider, it expands. But also, histamine is going to cause openings to appear inside the blood vessels. So inside our blood vessels, we have white blood cells. Neutrophils would be the ones to go if there's a bacterial infection. Then the neutrophils, these white blood cells, are going to leave the blood vessels through these little openings that have appeared. So again, histamine is causing this inflammation. It dilates the blood vessel and allows the white blood cells to exit so that the white blood cells can go and kill any bacteria that might be in this region and to also clean up the injured cells. Here, this picture is showing how the white blood cells are leaving the white blood vessels to go to the injury site. Next, with the burns, the different degree of burns. Know that the first degree burn means that the epidermis is injured, as in a sunburn. Here, it's characterized by redness, heat, inflammation. Second degree burn destroys the epidermis, but also the injury can go down into the dermis, as in burn from a liquid, hot liquid. Here, a blister may form. Then a third degree burn is when the epidermis, dermis, and the hypodermis are damaged. So here, the third degree burn affects 3 layers. Second degree burn is 2 layers. First degree burn is only the first layer. Rule of nines is used to estimate the extent of the burn on the skin. And so Don't worry about this picture, but it shows, for example, if the anterior trunk constitutes about 18% of our body, versus that it shows the arms, 4.5. And so looking at this guide, uh, the health official would be then giving an estimate on the amount of burn. Lifespan changes that occur to the skin. As we get older, skin becomes scaly, age spots appear. Our epidermis and the dermis become thinner. There can be loss of fat. That's why as people get older, they feel colder. Wrinkling, sagging of skin. Sebaceous glands release less oil. Skin becomes dry. Melanin production slows. Hair whitens, and the hair becomes thinner. Number of hair follicles decreases. Nail growth becomes impaired. Sensory receptors decline, and the body temperature regulation becomes less effective. And also, the skin slowly loses its ability to produce vitamin D.